Linda Lavin guest stars on the first season of Elsbeth on CBS. I'm David Buchanan with Gold Derby. Linda, your character Gloria is such a deviously fun character. What about her, when you heard from the Kings that they wanted you to do this and saw the script, really leapt out at you and was exciting to do?
Oh, wow. What a great question. I love that you said curiously interesting and that she was provocative. Um, she was somebody I fell for her, reading her. First of all, I love the Kings. I had done a few episodes of The Good Wife for them and with them, and they're wonderful people to work with. Robert was directing this episode. It was a chance to work with Carrie, with whom I'd never worked and only seen her work. And then Jane Krakowski, when my agent called and said, "You have this offer," and I said, "Am I the killer?" And he said, "Well," it was just as simple as that, well, no. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die. So I thought, well, let's read it first. And when I read a script, David, and I start reading it out loud, I know that I've got to do this person. I've got to be this person. And she called on something in me. Her certainly, the fact that she got her, so to speak, comeuppance as far as other people were concerned. Always interests me about playing the villain in a piece or somebody that nobody likes. That's none of my business. Like what they say, the way other people think of me, what other people think of me is none of my business. This was none of my business. This woman had a mission, also a big fat secret, and that was, pretty painful for her and horrible and stuff that she stuffs all these feelings down and spouts stuff that words and emotions that are in other people's opinions evil and dangerous and malicious. But when you play a character as an actor, you look for the reasons that somebody would behave that way. And that's what interested me. I thought she was complicated. I knew she would be upscale, so I'd get to wear great clothes. And I was interested in how it would be to fall off a balcony, and that was going to be my job, or if they would please have a stunt woman doing that. And they were very kind, and we had a complete Zoom on that meeting about how that would work. And I was being held back with a belt and a strap and a harness because I really had to go toward the edge. And I have the character has a son, and she's just not kind to him at all, and she's disappointed in him. And the actor I got to play with, the company was so much fun that for a murder mystery, we know watching the show that it has comical overtones. It was fun to play. It was complicated, and it was challenging. The weather was 19 degrees the 2 nights that we shot outside on Riverside Drive, if you please, where the wind comes off the river, and you just scream after every take, "Help me, help me, somebody help me." And they help you. They give you things to wear and warm shirts, and then you look at the crew and realize they've been there for hours, so I should just shut up and do my work. And so it was, finally we got inside to the apartment and got to do those scenes with the son. And if there's any such thing as karma, and I don't believe that karma works that way, she did meet an end that was not a disappointment for a lot of people for whom she had a lot of power. And she did say to them at the board meeting, she was the president of the board at this co-op, and they said, "You've just had too much power." And I did say to them, "Well, does anybody else want to take over this job and work 70 hours a week? Please speak up." And nobody does. So, you can't complain about what you don't want to jump into. So she did what she was told to. And, she had her own story, and a story of survival. And clearly she didn't make it. What I love about this whole experience was the doing of it with Carrie Preston at the helm, Robert King, Michelle King writing it, Robert directing it. We improvised. We had the best time. And it was And the crew was so kind and so efficient and so good at what they did and so helpful, in freezing weather. Um, one of the many things I loved about it was the commitment to creating an entertaining show. And we were originally episode number 3. My episode was, but I guess the network liked it so much they pushed it up to 2. So I got to be on the season real early in the season, and I got a lot of wonderful responses from people who hadn't seen me in a while. So, I love to work. I love to act. I love to play characters who are ironically interesting and challenging in terms of the way they navigate through life. Not everybody's favorite, but funny and, complex.
Yeah, you touched on so many things I want to ask you about, but I do want to start.
I never shut up.
No,
Sorry.
no, you're perfect. I wanted to ask, what is it like? Because you've done this many times in your career where you've done guest spots, you've done recurring roles. What is it like to come onto a set that's, this was very early on in its run, but to come onto a set and have very little amount of time to really develop a character? What is that experience like for you to come on and find a character and build that rapport with all of your fellow cast members?
Well, that's another great question. Anything you do on film is in a limited time. You read the script you get on a plane. The next thing you know, you're getting fit for your costume, and there you are on the set. Hello, this is this person you'll be having sex with. This is this person you'll be killing or be killed by. And so it's called work quickly. All your tools, open the toolkit and grab the right tool for the right moment. If that wasn't it, grab another one, find another one. Be flexible, be in the moment, be willing to be part of the whole. It's not about you, it's about everybody in that space trying to make this moment work, this scene work. And listen, trust people you don't know, trust yourself. When I gave master classes years ago, I came up with, I don't know that I came up with it or coined it, but it was an expression that came to me in a moment of teaching a class. Actors have to be director proof. We have to make our own choices. And then when the director says, how about something else? We have to be able to be, resilient and quick and jump to the challenge. It's exciting to be an actor, and it's exciting to work with new people and to be welcomed by Carrie Preston, who left a beautiful present in my dressing room, and flowers and candy and champagne by the producers, the Kings, the generosity of people. They know it's your first time. They know you haven't been there. And clearly that crew had only been there for a couple of weeks anyway. So as you said, it was new for everybody relatively. But, I was on a series for 9 years as the lead in that series, and we had new people every week, and it was up to us, and it behooved us to be welcoming and kind to new people, because we knew where we were going. We knew where everything was, and we knew how to tell the story of these people. But suddenly somebody walks, and it was clearly somebody walks into the diner, and they are our guest. And so you hope to be that, and you hope to receive that. And so what it's like is exciting and fun, and it causes me to focus and do the work that I've been trained to do and love to do all my life, and be there, be present.
You mentioned working with Carrie. We don't actually have any interactions between Gloria and Elsbeth, but did they have you on that cold sidewalk laying there?
Not answering that question. That has to be an inside. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. That was kind of them, right? Since actually the designer that came up the second day, and he said, "I've got to give you a hat." I mean, literally screaming, "Please get!" And so I got a beautiful fur hat for the second night that we shot. It was like a tundra. And so when they said there's a body double coming in, you don't have to lie on the ground, that was very kind of them. So actually, the man who played my son, wonderful actor, came, and he said, he texted me at the time, and he said, Missing you here. Sorry you're not here. But he had to do that outdoor scene. That was tough stuff. Tough to, people work in heat, people work in water, people work in cold. That's what we do, and there are people around you to protect you and help you and save you.
Yeah, you and Greg Hildreth,
Right.
your son, so terrific. Yeah,
Uh,
in that scene. And what like again, you had very little time to develop that dynamic, but so rich, that kind of argument, all that family history is there. What was it like working with him? How much time did you have to get that scene right?
None. None. We we read it together when somebody was doing another scene. Jane Krakowski was out there freezing her ass off, and then she'd come in the building, and we were all huddled up, and in the living room of somebody's apartment that had been rented for the shoot. And Greg and I met, and we said, oh, I think actually in the makeup room, we said to each other, do you want to run these lines? We ran the lines, and it was immediate. You know, when you've got it, as Mama Rose says, you either got it or you ain't. And boys, I got it. I work fast, and so did he. And Greg is a Broadway guy, so we had a lot in common. We had a lot of history in common, although he's way younger than I am. But it was so much fun to be mean to him, and he took it so well. And he made himself such a schlub. He was so pathetic and so desirous of my attention and my love. He's a wonderful actor, and he's got it. He's got the stuff, and you got to do it fast. There's not a lot of time, but with a director like Robert King, you get the time to, while you're doing it, a little idea here and there comes up, and then you do it again, and you do the long shot, then you do the close-ups, and each time you do it, you try something different, you stay in the moment, you live in the immediacy, you improvise a little bit, and you make each other really, really happy because you're so connected. It's really about connection, David. I think that's what I get the most pleasure of from being an actor, is connecting with other people, with you right now, with the audience, making sure that I'm telling the story so you get it.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, there's that great kind of nasty secret that we learn at the end of the episode, long after your character has passed. How much, when you kind of got to the end of that script and learned the backstory, how much does that inform everything that you did in those opening scenes?
Well, it would, absolutely, because when you look at why a character behaves the way they behave, you think, what's going on that she's so abhorrent to people, so rude. She doesn't think she's rude. What we don't think, and we don't make a judgment about a character, but that's what people say about her, and that's what's written about her. So you have to look as an actor for, what is it that she's hiding? What is it that is keeping her in pain or in secrecy? And that is also always a cause of pain. That she has this particular secret, that she has shame, that she's stuffed all those feelings. And so, if I were rude to you right now, if you and I were in a conflict about something we wanted control over, or we wanted power over, all about that, isn't it? Control and power, domination, and not being true or authentic to who you really are, or who you really could be. Or so you have to look at, what the hell happened to you? What happened to you that you're behaving this way? And either that, or you just get a kick out of being mean and rotten to people, which is part of what I love to do too. I mean, when I think about the Nikki Silver play, and this writing really reminded me of that, that kind of thing that I love to do, the ironic, brittle, sarcastic, shut down, but always with a barb answer. The Nikki Silver play, the Lions. I was sitting in the hospital room with my dying husband, and he says, and I'm looking at a magazine, thinking about redoing the apartment, the house, And I say, I like French provincial. What do you think? And he says, Rita, I'm dying. And I say, I know, but try to be positive. I mean, what kind of a thing is that to say to your husband? Well, in time through the play, you begin to learn who she is and what happened. But in a moment like that, that's the source of comedy. It's, pain explicit. And that's why I love to act, because you can play all those levels at one time, and and get the laugh, but really there's underneath it, there's so much pain, there's so much truth in terms of a relationship. That's the connection we talked about.
You mentioned Alice a little while ago, and I just wanted to ask you about that Emmy nomination you received in 1979. What do you remember about that ceremony? What did that recognition for that role mean to you at the time?
Everything. My life had fallen apart. My first marriage was falling apart, and I was starting a new job. Alice was, just in its third year at that time, I guess, and or second year. It meant it actually, when I remember it, a friend of mine came to visit me, Jo Beth Williams, and I said, do you want to go to this thing? You're talking about the Golden Globes, I think. It was my first Golden Globe nomination. And it was long ago, and it wasn't the ceremony it is now, but it was the film and the television community all in one room, sitting at tables, eating, drinking, having a wonderful time. And I said, and we didn't have stylists in those days, I didn't have a publicist. I said, do you want to go to this thing with me? And they meant, and we got dressed up and went, and I got to see famous people and sit at this table with a couple of people from the show, and they called out my name. It was like a dream. My friend Sarah Paulson now is nominated for a Tony, and she keeps talking about the dream. And it's a dream for me that I never allowed myself to have, except that as a child, it's a very vital dream, of course. But then when you start to do the work, you're just doing the work. You hope for the recognition. You hope for the validation. But boy, that moment was completely surprising and extremely thrilling for me. It to be seen and to be heard as an actor, as a human being, means everything.
Then a few years later, your Tony Award for Broadway Bound, and that speech that you gave, I revisited it recently on YouTube, is just so genuine and lovely and warm. What was it like to hear your name? I know, at least in the speech, you say how much, that was a career aspiration for you. So to kind of achieve that, what did that moment mean? And what do you remember about giving that speech?
I remember how much I thought about it. I was nervous about it. It's almost like, if I don't give a good speech, are they going to take the award back? And I'd had so much approbation and validation in at the time, from the time the awards, the nominations came out, that I invited my then 94-year-old father to come. He said, can I wear a white dinner jacket? I said, no, I have to wear a tux. And so he got all dressed up, and I had my best girlfriend be his date. So my mother had passed by then. And I got a beautiful dress from a designer. It was a speech. And I say this in the speech, I've thought of very little else in the last 30 days. I've missed entrances. It's an obsession. When that nomination comes out, I'll just speak for myself. I was completely overpowered by it, by the recognition, by the power of people saying stuff, and you go, oh no, don't give it a. But people were thrilled for me, and I had been nominated before for sure, and not heard my name called as the winner of the award. But this time it was, and the award was given me by Jessica Tandy and Hume Cronin, who were two people that I saw when I was a kid in summer stock in Maine. in a play called The Four Poster. And I remembered them, and there they were giving me this award. It's everything. I don't know how to give it words. I could just talk forever about it because it's visceral, it's emotional, it's artistic. But as I said to you before, to be seen, to be recognized, to be heard, to be given this accolade, this trophy, you know, it means so much. It means so much, and it means, as they say, it means a lot to be nominated too, because it is being seen and being heard and being recognized for the work, not for being a great, athlete, which I never was, or any of those other things, a great mathematician, which I never was, but to have found my path, my calling, my talent, my passion for a life's work, a purposeful life, and to be recognized for it, at that moment, it means everything. Then you go back to work, and then it disappears, it fades. I've got it right over here. The poor thing, it got dropped and it's a little broken right now, but it's sitting right there and I have 2 Golden Globes, and one is shiny and one is all sort of I'm not melting, but getting rusty. But, I got them out so people can see them when they come over, because there's still a part of me that wants to be known that way, just in case you think I'm just the cook at the dinner party.
Such a pleasure to spend some time with you today. Congratulations on Elsbeth. Thank you so much for talking to Gold Derby.
You're very kind. I've loved talking with you. Thank you, David.